Hey there, fellow citizens of the internet. Welcome to the Moses Kabandana podcast. Today I have with me Richard Blanc, and we're going to be talking about a topic that I'm pretty fascinated about, which is traveling, exploring the world, creating businesses, and being successful in environments that you necessarily aren't born into. And so, without any further ado, Richard Blanc, welcome to the Moses Kabandana podcast.
Moses, so happy to be here with you and your amazing audience. You do a great show. You got great vibes, and I can't wait to share a ton of twists and turns and stories with you today.
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of stories, where are you born and raised?
Oh, I'm a proud Philadelphian, but especially proud of Northeast Philadelphia when I graduated Abington High School. My story really began about second languages like yourself. And what we like to do is maybe double down on ourselves and our own dedicated practice and things we can control. I couldn't do Ivy League. I didn't have the grades or the maturity. And medicine and law and engineering seemed out of reach at the moment at an 18-year-old age. But languages, it was something I liked to do outside of school, and all the world's a stage. And so I continued and studied at the University of Arizona. And then in August of 2000, I had a chance to move to Costa Rica, and I took it. And we've been here ever since.
Where did the fascination with languages come in? Do you know where the influence came from for you?
It's interesting. I grew up with a very generous family and a comfortable family. And so during Christmas breaks or spring breaks, we would go to Mexico. So besides having fun in the sun and learning another culture, I used to come back with at least 20 to 30 new vocabulary words. And it just wasn't like some sort of parlor trick or a cute kid patting on the head and then going off. When I would meet individuals that were bilingual and I would show my sincere interest in their language, even at a young age, because my parents, we came from Eastern Europe, so no one in my family spoke Spanish. And so when I would meet these individuals and share my vocabulary and the limited grammar I had, the positive reinforcement, Moses, was something that I just enjoyed and I wanted more of it. And I did realize that unlike certain industries where you need equipment with you or have to be somewhere or load up and download, language is really, it's an incredible thing like water and air. It's everywhere. And you can just connect with people in a certain way. And also, I was the only one out of my friends that could do it. So, I mean, at least I could volunteer for that mission. And it
Yeah.
made me unique. It made me marketable. It made me, in a sense, a little bit special. And so I said, listen, if that's where I'm going to begin my journey, well, then let's do it. And look what it produced.
Yeah, yeah. And why Spanish? Did at any point you think about learning other languages, or just Spanish just came easier slash more opportunities to learn Spanish made themselves manifest more than others?
Excellent question. Well, think about it like this. In Northeast Philadelphia, we have a certain Latino population. We have Cubans, Puerto Ricans, and then once again, you have people from Spain, Central South America. Abington was a mixture of people from all different places. And so they gave you an option. You could learn French, German, or Spanish. And since I was going to Mexico and I kind of had a grasp already, and a lot of my friends, their families were from a Latino country, I decided to do that. And a lot of words were the same, like hotel. Come on, already I can pass the
Yeah,
test. And
right.
so I like that. And I like the flair and the flavor of the language. And then when I studied Latin a little bit, a lot of that is applicable. So it made it easier to deduct and understand what words were. And so conversations moved a little bit slower and I could grasp a little bit more. So instead of making it a push and a pull, I kind of
Yeah.
just sat in my inner tube and just floated down this Spanish river and just kept enjoying myself. And so it kept growing, my friend. And the thing is the grammar. Everyone tries
Mm,
to memorize phrases or do quick shortcuts. I hate to say it. It took me about 6 months, really, to
mm.
get in there and go from basic present tense to the subjunctive tense to everything in between to all the conjugations. And so once you can rake that and move that around, then the rest is just vocabulary and your smile. And
Yeah.
I needed that foundation. And my junior year, I lived in Spain. And so I
Okay.
had to immerse myself 100% into this language. And it was the best year of my life, 93 and 94. I really shed some skin then, Moses. And instead of just partying, which I did in abundance, I
Yeah.
also made time to go to museums and see ruins and to
Mm.
have 50 10-minute conversations a day with people from all over the world and to
Yeah.
share books and ideas. And it was beautiful because I came back more of a Renaissance man. I saw life a little bit
Mm.
differently. And that's what added to my momentum to bring me to Costa Rica.
Okay, okay. That's it's interesting that you mentioned the grammar part of it because for me I'm like the exact opposite. I've learned and forgotten about six languages, but yeah, rather yeah, about six languages, and at no point did I ever like I'm handicapped when it comes to grammar. So when I learn Spanish, I still don't know. Like if you ask me for how like to conjugate a particular tense of a particular verb, I'll just look at you blankly. But when it comes to the actual way of use, like I know how to use the words, I know how to speak the language, but the formal grammar way of conjugating things, like as far as grammar is concerned, I that just never really clicked. So it's interesting that for you it was like the opposite. You had to have this foundation of how like the formal way of speaking the language and then putting that into practice. And for me, it was
Look at it
just
like this, my man. It's like
yeah.
a car. You look so cool. You chose the car. You just need to turn it on and put it in drive and drive it, and you're still good. I said,
Mm.
listen, I think I need to know how to build a car. That's all I
Okay.
need to do. And so I
Okay.
took it a little bit deeper. And which one's better? I tell you what, Moses,
Yeah.
if you're able to learn a language your way, where all you need to do is drive the car, get from A to B in style, it works for you. And I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And the fact that you've learned six languages shows your passion. It shows structure and discipline, but I'm going to say it as well, my man. It also shows cognitive skills. You
Mm.
can't
Mm.
spin that. You can't fake that. It's not like a
Yeah.
fake Rolex. If you can
Right.
rap in
Right.
six different languages, people have to stand and look at you in awe because
Mm.
you realize the sort of man that respects himself enough to grab six keys to open so many doors in this world of these languages. And so, good for you, my language traveler. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's done well for you.
Yeah. 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 It's most of them were because I wanted to play with other kids in the neighborhood and they didn't speak my language. I didn't speak theirs. So we just spent, 6 to 8 hours literally every day just throwing rocks and trying to communicate in our own way. In about 3 to 6 months of that, day in, day out, you just start speaking, the other kids' language, and because you also end up with at their parents' house, and you just share a meal with them, and so yeah,
Hey,
languages are
Moses, real
just
quick for me,
yeah.
what are the six languages that you
Cool. Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
work
So
on?
Swahili
Please
is
tell me.
one of them.
Yeah.
There's the Swahili, there's Kinyarwanda, and I this is gonna sound kind of weird, but I don't know what my first language is because I've learned and forgotten these two, Swahili and Kinyarwanda, a couple of times.
Interesting.
And in Portuguese, Mashangana. Mashangana is a local dialect that is spoken in Maputo in the country of Mozambique, and then English and Spanish. So, did I say Portuguese? Well, Portuguese in there, so that would make it, yeah. So,
To me, that's
yeah,
like a tasty menu. Well done,
yeah,
my man. That's
yeah.
excellent, right?
It is. It is. And with each language you gain like a lot of skills because like speaking a language is not just being able to utter the sounds that translates into a meaningful thing to the other person. It's the underlying idioms, it's the jokes, it's all those come with speaking the language. So the the more languages that you speak, or like even if you just speak a second language, you
Hmm.
just you bring in a lot of that culture. Yeah. So speaking of cultures, what was your did you have a culture shock as you were traveling around the world? And if so, what was the biggest culture shock that you faced?
Patience is a virtue. You have to understand that other countries have other ways of doing things. And
Yeah.
instead of expecting, you should just accept. And that made things a little bit easier. If you have a book, read for another half an hour. It's okay if the train's a little late. And
Mm,
but I did realize this, and you were mentioning playing with your friends that didn't speak the same language, but you were invited in their home to break bread, which is, as you know, in any sort of culture, probably one of the most respectful things that somebody could do. You're introduced to everybody's family as a friend, which is excellent, especially when you're young, because it's
yeah.
before the money and the fame and the influence and the pressures. You like somebody for who they are, and you made extra efforts to be friends with someone when there was that sort of challenge in the beginning of communication. But no, my man, just throwing rocks and
Yeah.
smiling and
Yeah.
laughing, those are natural. So to answer your question, when I traveled Europe, wherever I went was Happy Richard. And so
Mm,
people could gravitate towards me. I was non-threatening. I was naive because I was 21 at the time with a backpack and a map. I don't know if you remember the Let's Go book.
yeah.
And that was the
Yeah.
book that got you around Europe back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And but I also was cautious and I wasn't
Mm,
stupid. And I understood when people were asking me for the time. I don't even have a watch, so we're good. I didn't do
yeah.
that move, but I made sure that I came back safe and I had the proper experience. And it's almost like when you were a child and your parents said, if you stay home alone tonight and don't wreck the house, you can maybe get the keys to the car. Keys to the car, then you can stay out later if you call. And then from there, you get to go to college. And there's these
Yeah.
different things where you can show, and then you have more leverage. And
Yeah.
so when I was traveling Europe, not only for myself, but it was also for my family trusting in me of being a responsible man with a couple grand in my pocket to last, a
Yeah.
Euro pass,
Yeah.
and not getting in trouble. And so I didn't want to have to make that phone call. And so every country that I was in, I made sure to understand the rules. I made sure to leave the party there and not do things that can get you in trouble when you're crossing borders,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also to ask the sort of questions and not be afraid to make sure that you're doing the right thing or going the right place, and especially paying the right price. And a lot of people would love to share their local uh, culture with you, and some of the best relationships I had were the people that I met on the train prior to arriving at that station. I must have made an impression to walk with them afterwards and have a meal, and then
Mm,
be like in the old stories, and then tell me where to go on my next portion of my journey and who to see in that town and how to make that call. So that was so
yeah.
much fun. It was almost like playing. It was almost like 18th century on your horse riding through the West. And
Yeah.
I was able to get that sort of adventure in life, and I took it. I would go to these homes of people that I didn't know in Basel, Switzerland, knock on a door and wait 2 days for my friend to get back from his skiing trip because he was late. But I was with the
Yeah.
family that didn't speak English, so I milked cows and I made cookies and I
Yeah.
did chores and I sat in this big table next to a fireplace to eat meals with them at night. And I spent 2 days with a family. They knew I was coming, but this kid was irresponsible and was late. But I spent 2 days with this man's family doing chores on a farm right on the French border.
Yeah.
Yo, so kind of almost
That's
glad that he didn't show up. And
yeah.
it was one of
Yeah.
my favorite memories of snowy Switzerland fireplace cookie kitchen
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And so I had it, my man, and I
Huh.
did it naturally.
That's amazing. That leads me to my next question, which is like, what do you think are the some of the biggest misconceptions that Americans have about leaving the country and just exploring other ways of just to see how life is done in other corners of the world. Like what are some of the misconceptions that we have as Americans?
I would assume the number one misconception would be convenience. There's
Mm,
not a
yeah,
Circle K or 7-Eleven on every corner in some
right,
places.
right, right.
Things are closed on Sundays or on other days. Certain countries have an enormous amount of national holidays, and that might clog up streets or
Yeah,
become an inconvenience.
yeah.
And maybe when you're shopping, you don't get the sort of products that you're looking for. And I guess you might not get the sort of service you're expecting in certain restaurants or hotels. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is to a certain extent. But what I've noticed living abroad for a good portion of my life, you can almost tell when you're in certain areas that might have tourists to it, which ones are losing their patience or look lost or just don't seem like they're having a good time or they're on
Mm,
their phones when they should be in the moment.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but you know what? That's their deal. Moses, we worked hard and paid good money to get to that place or to be there. And we just can't hit the ball and drag Johnny. It's not my job to go
Yeah.
around and to explain to somebody to enjoy a statue or to put their phone down. But maybe it's how we were raised. Maybe you and I enjoyed the story by the fireplace with Grandpa more than the movie in the theater or your phone at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um, I guess it's really about not allowing the others to ruin your moment there. And you just
Hmm.
try to do the best thing you can to um, maybe just see what you can do to relax yourself so you can make the most out of it.
Okay. No, I asked that because I just got back from well, not just. I spent earlier this year. I was in Morocco. I spent 2.5 months in Morocco. My woman and I, we live in an RV, and we've been traveling around Europe in an RV, and so 2.5 months in Morocco, and then a month and a half in Spain. And
Yeah.
I found myself like before going to Morocco, I was thinking, man, why I don't know anything about Morocco, and I'm probably gonna miss out on this. Should I prepare to not have Wi-Fi for X amount of time? What life's gonna look like without all my electronics if I don't have if our RV isn't able to like power my laptops, and I just all these questions, and I've been traveling for quite a minute, but I have this thing that you just mentioned about missing some of the inconveniences, as you put it. But that just becomes part of what life is like there, right? And if that means not having a McDonald's around the corner, that's part of the experience. That's part of just of seeing how life is done like there without, because if you go somewhere and wherever you go to, it is indistinguishable from where you're coming from, right? You have all the amenities, you have all the experiences that you have at home. Well, you might as well just be home, right? So the whole part of the whole the whole experience is that you're experiencing an environment that is different from your own, you know. So
You know what
yeah,
bag they
that's
can't bring with them though? They can't
mm,
bring the mental bag. Because if you got a problem, you don't want to bring that with you.
right,
So,
right,
in a sense, it's almost like wiping a slate clean and it's a brand new chapter.
yeah,
I mean, you're still
yeah,
the same person. In fact, Moses, you're fun with or without the internet.
yep,
And in fact, you're probably more fun without the internet because then I get 100% Moses attention and his thoughts and his energy. And does he need the websites and internet to expand his thoughts and to show me stats and photos? Sure.
yep,
But you live, that's the painting. That's the best. That's choice. And so
yeah.
I would prefer that than any other option, Moses.
Yeah, yeah. It's like sometimes I'll be in a place where I'm like, man, I want to capture this moment on my camera. I like to do video work, but then sometimes I'm like, I will film and capture the time, but then I will notice that the entire time that I was there, I was just focused on, did I get the angle right? That I completely missed out the whole thing. So I was like, jeepers, okay, that's that's not the right way to go about it either. So what for a youngster today, let's say they're finishing high school, 18, 19, um,
Nice.
and they're thinking about, leaving, just going to backpacking in Europe or elsewhere. What are some three takeaways that you would impart on them?
I think it's about money management is the first thing. You don't want to go crazy. And what saved me an enormous amount of money, a lot of time, was sleeping
Hmm.
on the train. Now, I upgraded my URL pass to a first class pass so it could be comfortable, but I offset
Yeah.
that cost with the amount of hotels I didn't stay in and the amount of distance that I traveled. I could do, if I arrived in a city
Hmm.
at, let's say, 6 in the morning, I could pound out that city till 10 o'clock at night. Do I need to sleep there? You could, but why not make up 6 to 8 hours? Now you're in another country, another city. And plus, you're sleeping on that train. And so, saved a fortune doing that. And
Yeah.
then why would you go to certain restaurants? You should for certain dishes, but I used to
Hmm.
go to the supermarkets or the farmers market or just the random store and, not just bread and cheese, but some of the local cuts or
Hmm.
even just any sort of suggestions that they have to make a sandwich or make a side dish or they'll cook it up for you. And so sitting under the tree in the local park, having a local food that you can't even pronounce, but it's the most delicious thing. And this woman in the kitchen, is a grandmother that cooks for everybody.
Yeah.
And what do you do? So you write it in the journal and you explain how it tastes and how they created it. And you wonder how you still have another $30 in your pocket that day because you didn't spend it on other things. But you
Yeah.
do not deprive yourself. That's number one of saving the money. Where you do spend the money on the experience, I believe that if it does cost money to get into the Louvre or the Prado or Peggy Guggenheim or any sort of special museum, you go, you pay for that cost. If there's an upgrade to get some extra special experience that you would know, that's what you pay for. That's what you save the money on by sleeping on the train to then get a first class experience at the Colosseum in Rome or something, or going to a bullfight in Spain or a Real
Yeah.
Madrid soccer game. And so, money management was essential. I wasn't really a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
And so, I'd have a little beer here and there. But, when people
Yeah.
are spending that kind of money, I mean, I'd rather eat, you know. But
Yeah.
that's the second experience. And the third experience, you were mentioning capturing it with photographs. I agree with that in video. But if you are capable of actually doing a handwritten journal, more than just typing it in, literally having that special book, special cover with the pen, that's a different experience altogether. And
Okay.
that's when you really would then set aside that time every day to reflect,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
Doogie Howser MD show. You give the after school special lesson after talking about the 3 meals you ate, the 10 friends you made, and the distance you traveled. And
Hmm.
you do it where it's fresh in your mind and you're feeling these emotions. And you can talk about laughing and loving and enjoying your life. And 10, 20, 30 years later, like I do, looking at that journal when I was 21, it gives me a chance to jump right back into Richard. These were
Yeah.
100% my thoughts, 100% at the moment. I understand it completely. And maybe it's a recharge of batteries or just an understanding, Moses, of how far I've come or who I wanted to be. And
Yeah.
those are the sort of things you should be doing when you're taking these sort of spiritual life journeys, your vision quests. If you're looking to find something, then prepare yourself mentally along the way with certain checkpoints just to ensure that you are doing the right things and you are accomplishing those sort of goals.
So then, would you I'm assuming yes. Would you recommend? Because we hear a lot about you put in your time, you work, you develop your character, and then when you retire, then you can start all this traveling. So obviously, you did your travelings when you were younger. I'm doing my travelings now, and this is the best way for me. So the question is like, would you recommend this idea that's been around for quite a minute that you put in your time, wait to travel until you're much older?
I think anytime you have it in your heart to do something and you're not holding back your family, a job, and being irresponsible, you take that
Yep.
time. Naturally, when I was younger, I did it, had the time, but I had the small budget. Now I got
Yep.
an enormous budget and I do have the time. But, I'm deciding to invest
Yeah.
it here at the company at the moment. But no, it's if you have something inside of you that's driving you, do you want to call it a sixth sense or butterflies or just something that keeps you up at night in a good way because of a positive anticipation? Like Christmas Eve as a child, you couldn't wait to go to bed to wake up the next day and open your presents.
Yeah.
And if somebody has that Christmas Eve feeling where there is a present waiting for them out there, it was so strong with me that I needed to get past my parents' guilt. I
Okay.
needed to put aside the gray believers and the naysayers that may not have completely understood my argument. But
Yeah.
my great grandparents came to the United States at the turn of the 20th from Eastern Europe, worked in New York in the garment industry, learned English. 2 generations later, I'm just going south and
Yeah.
throwing, my cards on the table and see what could happen.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
a lot of individuals are pressured into going into certain careers or family businesses. And yes, I can and would have had an advantage working at an established family business, starting out on third base. And that's fine, it's great, and very fortunate. But for me, my friend, just like you, I really wanted to taste it. And I could have always clicked my heels and come home, made that phone
Yeah.
call, they would have bought me a ticket.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see what this beautiful life could offer me.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
stars became aligned. This is incredible. I count my blessings every day. And so for your youngsters that are entrepreneurs and potential future business owners, the crack code that I figured out real fast in business is empathy. And I learned that when I worked at my friend's call center for 4 years when I came to Costa Rica at 27. I was not C-level, Moses. I was with the proletariat. I sat in the cubicle. And so you got to hear over those years the good and the bad and the happy and the sad.
Mm.
And the number one
Yeah.
thing is attrition. If someone extends loyalty and fidelity, they'll be with you and give you foundation. And if you have rotation, you're weak, right? And so
Yeah.
for me, I couldn't outwit some of these companies such as Amazon, HP, Intel, and Oracle. We all compete for the same labor. So what did I do, Moses? I collect pinball machines and retro arcade machines, so I have a game room. So there's a medium for us to play and to recharge batteries. I'm going to
Yeah.
give you your dignity. I'm going to know your name. And since English is my first language, I'm going to extend to you certain soft skills and things that I think would make you more marketable and more self-reliant. And I'm also accountable. I'm a guest in this country. You keep mentioning travel, and I love that topic. But I also realize that I am a guest here. And if I can pay it forward in any way, and if I can follow certain rules, then there's a very good chance that I can grow here. And my
Mm.
soil's good. The fact that I'm celebrating a 15th year anniversary in a very competitive industry, outsourcing and call centers, boy,
Yeah.
the market speaks. And for me, really, the bottom line is how I treat my people and myself. And if you can do that and look in the mirror every day and respect yourself, other people will respect you as well.
Hmm. Do you get any pushback on I don't know if naysayers would be the right label here, but like for any criticism on moving abroad and taking advantage of what would be the word, the low income level of labor there. Are you getting any pushback from that?
I always do. But think
Okay.
about it like this. My company is a United States Corp, so I do pay taxes in the United States. That's number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And number two, let's call it as it is. We're talking about skill set here. It's almost like athletics. If
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
wins the race because they're the fastest, can jump the highest, they win. And if
Yeah.
my agents that are with me have certain skill sets that can perform better through metrics that you can gauge,
Yeah.
calls, talk time, conversion, note
Yeah.
taking, quality assurance, well, then, not only do we earn the account, but when discussing it with my client, I can show them through our advanced performance, I can offset that cost that you might be able to
Mm.
get offshore in India and the Philippines, or the cost you can get in the United States. And so,
Yeah.
really, I would prefer at the end of the day that we have these discussions via merit.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
if you think about it, I'm really not taking a factory job away. This is a virtual job. So
Yeah.
I am in competition as well with the
Mm-hmm.
world. And what I try to do is be very selective of the campaigns that come in so we don't compromise ethics and values.
Yeah.
Number two, I just want to make sure that it's realistic, where it's specific, measurable, agreed upon. As I mentioned, realistic and time frame oriented, because some people have unrealistic expectations, or even better yet, Moses, look
Mm.
what Hollywood has done to telemarketing and call
Mm.
centers.
Mm.
They've glamorized them. Sure, we can always do the Wolf of Wall Street and cold call closes. We
Yeah.
respect
Yeah.
Blake from Glengarry Glen Ross. But then again, a lot of people earn a wonderful living doing exceptional customer support to retain a client, to get an upsell, possible referral, or to
Mm.
receive certain suggestions from a long-term client in order for us to make improvements or to notice things. And so it is still a means to an end. Hey, Moses, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
prefer to speak to somebody live that knows who you are compared to pressing buttons and putting in your information at your bank or at
Of
your
course.
airline?
Of
Well, thank
course.
you. And if you called me and have you been my client for years, I'm like, Moses, my main man. I go, what can I do for you today? And you're like, what's up, Richie? What's up, buddy? How's your family? What's going on?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
client you want. And then you say, well, why
Mm.
am I Richard Blank for 10 years? Because he takes my call, knows my account, makes suggestions, sincerely knows who I am. Well, and guess what? I recommended 10 of my friends to him. You're
Mm.
not going to
Mm.
treat them the same. And
Yeah.
that's how my
Yeah.
business grows. It's from the Moses seed. And all you say is, I hate calling call centers and I hate when I can't get somebody on the phone, but I got this one company, I got a hotline. I got the red
Yeah.
bat phone. I can get the CEO on the phone and solve my problem in 3 minutes. You're like, you got to be kidding me. Give me this guy's number. And
Yeah.
that's the sort of old school business that people still need to do. They need to know your name in the diner. They need to know your favorite dish, and they need to have your hot coffee before you even sit in your seat. And if you do that, that's why you go there for 30 years and you tip well and they give you free pie on your birthday. And
Yeah.
just everybody loves you. And when it's a rainy day, that's where you go to feel warm and cozy. And this world is so crazy with so many circles. It's nice just to sit down for a minute and feel at home somewhere. And even if it's through telemarketing or customer support, or even just teaching people to have proper manners these days on the phone and not to be so short in
Yeah.
texting or in speech, then maybe that's how we make the change. That's our ripple in the pond that could potentially do things.
Mm. So yeah, competence, good competence. As long as they're competent in their field, they're providing good service, returning customers. Like you said, you have set metrics that are met.
The
So
best service, my man. If your
Okay.
dog's barking in the background, I'm gonna even find out the dog's name and ask how it's doing on every call. It's got nothing to do with your bank account. I'm gonna ask how
Right.
Fluffy's doing. Fluffy's doing great.
Yeah.
Come on now, you really love me.
Yeah. Going.
Moses, that's when you loosen the tie. That's when you
Mm,
really, as they say, know the bartender.
right.
And you
Right.
do it one by one, account by account. And behind me, you see the bricks. Why do you think this building's been around since 1958?
Wow.
And I believe that each person should be laid like a brick correctly, and it should be done with precision and with care so it's in alignment. And there's carpenters know this. The worst thing is when someone doesn't put in things properly in your house. You can see the mistakes.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you start early and surround yourself with accountants, attorneys, human resources, IT, the right people, you can build an A team. You can
Yeah.
expand with branches and roots and delegate. And that's how businesses grow.
Okay, I already have a few people that are crossed my mind that I might put you in contact with. So you've been in Costa Rica for a good minute now. Any possibility that you would move back to the States?
Well, I'm going to jump in and out, but permanently live there, I'm not sure. I think when the time comes for me to uh, play the back nine of this company that I have and finish up my round,
Yeah.
I think I'd like to travel the world a little bit more. This Airbnb is amazing.
Mm,
I would like to live in a house in a town in a country somewhere for a month and see what it's
okay.
like. And so I think I just want to taste that. And
Mm.
my wife's really never skied before, so we're going to live somewhere
Oh,
for a couple of months in the mountains to go sledding, make snowmen, and teach her how to snow plow on the bunny slopes. And that should be a lot of fun. But we'll be writing children's books at the time. Maybe we'll be
mm,
taking classes at universities where I have no pressures of final exams. A lot of
yeah.
art classes are just classes just to enjoy. And by absorbing and contributing, then I think at that certain stage of life, it will be exceptionally fulfilling. I'm not really looking to accomplish any of these specific goals like Mount Everest before I turn
Yeah.
70. That's not in my game plan. I want to do things where I can reduce any sort of injury, number one.
Yeah.
But number two, I don't want stress. And if
Mm,
it's just sitting under a tree by a river somewhere in Europe, South America, or wherever,
yeah.
um, you know what though, Moses? I tell you what, I
Mm,
definitely want to live on a South Pacific island toll. I gotta try that for at least a couple months. I gotta do
okay.
Gilligan's Island. I really, really, really want to do that, and I want to see if that life is exactly the way I imagine it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. The only island that I've been on is island of Madeira. It's a Portuguese island off of the coast of Morocco. Uh, yeah, I was just only there for like a couple of weeks. Loved it, but I haven't been to where you want to go. So what?
Moses, did you ever hear of an island called Culatra, south of Faro in Portugal? It's
I
like a fishing man's island, I guess.
can't say I have. Can't say I have, but
We
I'm gonna
camped
look
there
into it.
for a week one
Mm,
time. We took a lot of trips every weekend in between classes, but in, I guess, the fall of 93, we went down there. But
mm,
I agree, these Portuguese islands are awesome. What an amazing country. And
yeah.
Tangier was cool. Morocco's all right. I was there twice, and it's just, and you live there traveling around. I want to go back. I
Yeah.
want to do it where it's not a day trip. As you
Mm-hmm.
did. I want to live there so the honeymoon stage wears
Mm,
off.
mm. Yeah.
And then
Right.
you get to see that, like the first time you're in traffic, that's what it's really like, living
Yep.
in this country.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. No. No. We were there for like I said 2.5 months, and we started in Tangier, a couple of weeks there, drove down the coast, ended up in Essaouira, and then we went inland into Marrakesh, stayed a week there, crossed the High Atlas. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful mountains. Totally recommend. Uh, Ended up in the
What
Sahara
was your
Desert.
RV? What brand and what year?
She's an old lady. It's a 1985. It's a Fiat made by Heimer. So,
Chilling.
uh, yeah, you can imagine,
So
1985.
80s. Did you
Yeah,
keep the original upholstery and stuff?
it a lot of the stuff is still original. So she needs a little tender and care and love every 2 miles.
Do you have
She,
In
she,
Excess and Duran Duran posters on the inside? A
we
ColecoVision? This is
that
awesome.
yeah, the insides we decorated it in a way that best suits our the way that we wanted the atmosphere to look like. But the outside and all the mechanics of it are still there. So yeah, we have to visit the mechanic every couple of weeks. So that's the downside there. But it's she's a
Does that
character in,
happen in
in itself.
Morocco as well? You had to
In Mor-
visit mechanics on the road
oh
in every
yeah,
town.
oh yeah, and it's like
Wow.
you don't most of the mechanics are not on Google Maps, right, or anything like that. So you have to stop by at a random place, have a meal, and be like, hey, by the way, do you know any mechanics? And everybody knows a mechanic because everyone has like a lot of like motorcycles there.
Right.
But to pull into a motorcycle shop with a 36-foot RV, it's just they don't have the tools for it, but the ingenuity that they have, they will make any part for you on the spot. Just it's just amazing stuff. So I would recommend to visit Morocco and give it a good month. If you're gonna be in Tangier for a month, let it be a month. Or throughout the country, but give it some time. Give it some time. It's a beautiful place, very diverse. Um, yeah, as far as the geography of the country, from one part to the other, like I said, you have the Atlas Mountains that are just snowy and everything up there, and then 4 or 5 hours east, you have the Sahara Desert that is just super hot. And then on the west side, you have the beach, and it's just yeah, amazing place. Um, so you said that you're not quite sure if you come back to the States. That's awesome. That's great. It sounds like you found your place. That you want to stay at medium to long term. Um, so for someone that's on the fence, in 2023, on the fence about leaving the States, either just to explore the world or just to move out. Um, for one reason or another, right? Everyone has their own reasons why they don't want to leave the country, especially if they've thought and heard that the United States is the best country in the world, and so why would you want to leave, right? Or why would you want to move out? Um, what would you say to someone that's in that state of mind?
Due diligence, because you might not find what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have an idea in mind, give yourself multiple suggestions and start looking into it.
Yeah,
And, testing things prior to buying. I did things a little bit differently. I came to Costa Rica and didn't leave, put my stuff in storage for a decade, but
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
different story. But prior to that, I did get a chance to enjoy and understand what it's like to go different places. And the inconveniences really were convenience for me. I just felt like if I had a warm bed and a nice book, I was cozy as can be.
yeah,
And if I had a full stomach. And so I wanted to go as humble and basic as I possibly could, just to see how far I could go in regards to my own personal depth.
mm,
And I understand my essence. And so the people that you're talking about, I'm not sure really what their age is, and maybe it's the same thing that I felt. It was a barn door that was closed. And there's that
okay,
expression of the barn door being open, and that
yeah,
horse isn't coming back.
yeah,
That's why they keep doggies in cages and stuff. And so I'm a bird that left the cage because I was anxious. I didn't need the security of a cage and someone feeding me food.
yeah,
But then again, horses, cats, and birds, they do come back if they want to. And
yeah,
to answer your question, sure, the United States, I will definitely come back to the barn, but don't put a door. Allow
Yeah,
me to come
yeah,
back when I want to come back so it's natural. It's the worst
yeah,
thing to do is forced fits. That's why a lot of family dinners are there in silence. The greatest thing is when absence makes the heart grow fonder. If you miss somebody naturally, it's amazing when you have a reunion, if it
yeah,
lasts a long time or even if it's an hour. And so you have to make sure relationships are respectful and that someone needs to respect your wind. And they also
yeah,
have to understand when it's your time to come home. How many fables and children's stories do you have to tell us about people going out on these coming of age moment adventures and then coming back to their home or their pueblo or their town or their parents to tell their tall tales and to share their wisdom and riches? And so by depriving somebody of having this life experience, which is exceptionally realistic because you could always come home, money could always run out.
yeah,
You're not talking about major life changes like myself.
yeah,
My thing was just building on momentum. And I had no idea how long this was going to last. And that's why I danced in the rain. That's why I took every day as if it were my last.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
an interesting way to live life. And if people can find that balance, Moses, and find that sort of center and sit down with their loved ones or those with whom their opinion matters, then they can lay out their life. And then people, through that sort of clarity and transparency, could lend a hand, or then wouldn't ruin any sort of momentum that they're trying to build and reduce any sort of guilt. So it's case by case, my friend, and it could be very
yeah.
delicate depending on the situation. But I believe I would have never forgiven myself if I didn't grab onto this calling that I had in
Yeah.
my late teens to do this.
Wow, that is a good place to stop, Richard Blanc. Do you have anything to add before we come to a close here?
Of course I do, Moses. I thank you so much for having me as a guest on your podcast. You're an excellent interviewer. And if your audience is interested, I have an extremely large Facebook fan page, but
Okay.
117,000 Costa Rican Ticos. And when this goes live, Moses, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have a lot more fans here. And just real fast for your audience, it'll give them a grasp of our business process outsourcing industry in Central America. We're
Yeah.
north of Panama, south of Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica is the only democratic society in Central America, and they have no standing army. So they put all their money back into education, and they brag about a 95% literacy rate. We have the
Mm.
most neutral of English accents, the best infrastructure, and that's why companies, as I mentioned, Amazon and other large players, Teleperformance, Convergys, Concentrix, these are large call centers with whom I compete.
Yeah.
But our labor pool, they have the skill set. They're coachable. We're close to the United States. Our Proxemics, we're on Mountain Time Zone. It's a couple-hour flight. In fact, a direct flight from most major airports to Costa Rica. It's a
Mm.
tropical lifestyle. The culture uses the phrase pura vida, which means pure life. And when I came here, I didn't want to leave. I married the girl of my dreams through good fortune. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to start a business 15 years ago and make a life. And so I shared so much today, and I appreciate it because it was a great time. And I just don't want your audience to be hard on themselves.
Mm.
Life is an incredible gift. And if there is
Yeah.
something that you can do to contribute and to pay it forward, then by all means, Moses, I think your amazing audience will be on your show one day telling their stories and once again increasing this audience of yours. But thank you again, my friend. I had a great time today.
Pleasure's all mine. What is the name of the Facebook group if the audience wants to look it up?
Costa Rica's call center. Simple as that. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Awesome. Awesome. Richard Blanc, thank you so much for coming to the Moses Kabandana podcast. Until next time.
Thanks, Moses.